Chapter 171 World Competition begin. 3 years later. Not enough money, Maximus sighed. After selling Tier 6 knowledge, his income skyrocketed from around 100 trillion to over 10 quadrillion. But as the months went by, the income of his store began to decrease and stabilized at over a quadrillion. The sad thing is that Maximus still can't afford Tier 5 Ultimate Treasure. After he looked through its price, he was shocked. It's 1,000 times more expensive than a Tier 4 Ultimate Treasure, starting at least at 1 quadrillion apiece. There were also rare elements, like time and space, which cost over 10 quadrillion. As for supreme elements, all of them were over 100 quadrillion. Maximus could only smile wryly and do his best to accumulate money. Who asked him to create the most expensive cultivation technique there is? Huh? Out of sight, out of mind, Maximus hypnotized himself. He still needed to get ready for the world competition in a few months. So troublesome? Just right, I can test how strong I am compared to others, Maximus grew excited. A week later, at the edge of the sunburnt plateau, Maximus was notified that the Navy formation was finished. How is it, Your Majesty? Johnson asked proudly. Looking at hundreds of thousands of brand new ships and tens of millions of Navy soldiers, Maximus smiled. Good, you did this in just 3 years, which is quite amazing. It's not that great, Your Majesty. These Navy soldiers are the former Imperial Army. Smith and I decided to split the army, with me taking the larger portion. After all, there's no need for land battles right now. It's good, but you should replenish the army quickly. We are already on it. Smith has been busy enlisting soldiers these days, Johnson said happily. Johnson was finally able to command an army of his own. Initially, there were 2 generals, him and Smith. Although they were loyal to Maximus, it was a bit uncomfortable when they had to control the army. 2 generals meant there was no central command. Fortunately, there was no war at the moment, so this problem was not magnified. That's good. Then you should start quickly. I want the Sunsea region to be incorporated into the Moonlight Empire sooner. As ordered, Your Majesty. A month later, Johnson commanded the army to stock supplies, prepare weapons, and formulate plans. They also obtained a rough sea map through Cedric's contacts. After all, although they had spent 3 years training at sea, they hadn't ventured too far. In addition to soldiers on the ship, there were auxiliary staff such as chefs, sailors, navigators, and millions of new budding officials. I don't know where I will be stationed. No matter where it is, isn't it better than here? Hey, who made us newcomers? We can only be left behind, ready to be buried beneath the empire. These officials were aspiring, ambitious individuals who didn't want to be buried in the empire. Although a new city was established in the empire almost every month, there were more officials who passed the test and had nowhere to go. Now, they had the opportunity to conquer new places. I can only say it's our bad luck. But this is also a chance. Don't you remember how your life was before? How can we forget? I was just a beggar in a backward kingdom. Now, I'm standing here, ready to manage a territory for His Majesty. We may not be as glorious as we are now, but in the future, we will be the pioneers of this new era. Well said. The crowd cheered as they thought of their bright futures. A month later, at Maximus Manor. Is today your competition, Daddy? Yes, I'll be fighting some awesome guys today, Maximus picked up Lux. Daddy, be sure to win. Lux cheered. The other children also knew about this and cheered for him. Just be safe, husband, his wife looked worried. After saying goodbye, he headed directly toward the Tower of Arcana. As Maximus passed the students, it was clear that they were aware of the event. Today is the world competition, right? That's right. I heard there is a betting pool there. Do you want to bet? Sure, this is the path to getting rich. I have the list of our players this time. What? Can you show me? Yes, it's only 1,000 credits. Damn cheater. Are you even sure your list is accurate? Anyway, it's up to you. The students laughed and quarreled as the festive atmosphere permeated the city of Arcana. After all, this was a once-in-an-epoch event. All the people here would be watching the most talented individuals in the world compete. Soon, Maximus teleported to the top of the Tower of Arcana. Looking around, he saw unfamiliar faces. Maximus noticed that their strength was either Tier 5 or Tier 6. Feeling the mana fluctuations around them, It had all the elements or was missing one or two supreme elements. As expected of core students, Maximus thought. While he was scanning the group, they also noticed him. Being a core student at this stage was very rare. Hello, I'm Azurit. Maximus, he introduced himself while scanning Azurith with his system. Azurith Voidwalker. Talent, Tier 9 Void God Body. Strength, Tier 6. Soul Amplitude, 1 billion. Soul Will, 750,237,193. Are you here for the competition? Azurith was a bit interested in this newcomer. Although he felt that Maximus had just been promoted to Tier 5, he couldn't help but feel threatened. If not for knowing that he was equipped with a Tier 9 protection item, Azurith would even dare to come close to this new kid. Yes, isn't it mandatory? No, of course not, but the prize is quite tempting. What is the prize? I don't know, but according to my senior who was also a core student an epoch ago, this competition is a rare opportunity, even those apex sovereigns will be jealous. That is indeed tempting, Maximus replied, feigning interest. Up to now, there wasn't really anything that could tempt him. With money flowing into his pockets, he could buy anything he wanted after saving enough. While they were talking, Dean Fialon entered. It looks like you're all here. Come quickly, the people from other continents are already at the venue, Fialon said hurriedly, waving his hand. Maximus and the others only felt a darkness. Opening their eyes, they saw a grand stage that looked like a mini-continent. Welcome to the Ethereum Apex Coliseum, Fialon introduced. They slowly flew toward the people from the other continent. Taking a look, people from the Beast continent had animal features that they didn't completely transform. It was said that this was their symbol of pride. If it weren't for communicating with humans, they wouldn't even need to transform. I don't know how it feels, Maximus thought, looking at the women from the Beast continent. You're finally here, I thought you were scared. Alabaster, the ruler of the Beast continent, said. Ha ha ha, the old geezer is probably scared because there are no talented people left in the arcane continent, Radius, the main god of the divine continent, said. Isn't it only natural for the weak to wait? Fialon didn't back down and mocked. The people from the two continents seemed not to want to be insulted, as they locked their fighting intent onto the core students of the arcane continent. Of course, they didn't back down. Maximus even shrugged off the pressure like it was nothing. His body was fused with thousands of ultimate treasures. Even the harshest conditions could barely graze his body. TSK, it seems that the kids are eager to fight. Alabaster said. How about the competition? Isn't it the same as an epoch ago? Fialon asked. I have been thinking of sending them to the Abyss, Radius said after pondering. Abyss? Are you sending them to die? Fialon was shocked. Their core students were precious talents, he didn't want them to have accidents. Why not? I agree, Alabaster said, looking at Fialon. The Beast continent didn't regard talent as something. For them, strength was everything. No matter how high your talent is, it was useless without strength. This? Is it for the recent phenomenon? Otherwise, you should have noticed the Abyss realm accelerating toward us. After the mana trickles into the Ethereum realm, it seemed that the Abyss realm sensed it and accelerated its progress toward the Ethereum realm. This is also to prepare the future generation. Anyway, we would only be sending them to the periphery. Fine, after thinking for a moment, Fialon agreed. Soon, the three peak powerhouses of the Ethereum realm began to discuss some rules. It may seem sloppy, but the people organizing it were not. It was like three presidents discussing the affairs of children. How could it be called sloppy? Soon, the three decided on the rules. First, for points, it would be based on the Abyss monsters they killed and the treasures and materials they collected. Second, for elimination, if they activated their Tier 9 protection amulet, they were out. Third, each could choose their teammate and they could be teleported to the same place. Chapter 172 Abyss Realm. Soon, Fialon began to explain all the rules and allotted them some time. Maximus didn't want to be on a team with others. So he stood alone in a corner and contacted his family about the change in schedule. Knowing that he was heading to the Abyss Realm, his family became worried. However, understanding that there was nothing they could do about it, they simply told Maximus to stay safe. Maximus, do you want to team up with us? Azurith asked, accompanied by another man. No, I'm fine on my own. Oh, then good luck, Azareth simply smiled and went to recruit others to join his team. The team could consist of up to 5 members. Azareth prioritized safety and preferred having teammates. As for Maximus, considering his strength, he hoped to invite him. Unfortunately, it seemed like Maximus was a loner. There were many who also went solo, so Maximus didn't stand out. After all, this was a competition, and having more members meant splitting points. A few minutes later, the 3 Apex sovereigns finished preparing the formation array to transport them to the Abyss realm. Are you ready? Phelan asked, looking concerned.
We're ready, Dean.
The others stepped onto the formation array, exchanging competitive glances with each other. There was no fear in their eyes. Good luck, kids. Using the formation array and with the assistance of the world origin, they were sent to a peripheral location in the Abyss realm. Abyss realm, Swamp World.
Huh? So, this is the Abyss?
Maximus thought that the Abyss would be a desolate place. But looking at the lush variety of plants, he was completely wrong. It's just that the way the plants grew was a bit indescribable, not like a product of nature. The aura here is quite interesting. Feeling the Abyss aura, he became intrigued by it. By his rough estimate, there were over 10,000 elements comprising it. However, they were condensed into one element, devouring. As the Abyss aura enveloped him, Maximus felt his life force, mana, and biological activity being slowly devoured. Of course, the amount being consumed was almost negligible. Even if he stood here for 1,000 years, only a day of his life would be consumed. The ultimate treasures are not for nothing, Maximus thought happily. The others were not as comfortable as him. Upon arriving in the Abyss realm, they immediately felt the devouring aura surrounding them. It caused them to lose a few days of life every second. They had no choice but to consume their mana to offset this force. While Maximus was exploring his surroundings, he noticed a small dot with the aura of the Ethereum realm. Is this the camera to the Ethereum realm? Maximus took out Tintin. This has a bit of the power of the world origin. Although it has the function of capturing images and sending them back, its main purpose is to get you out of this place, Tintin analyzed. Oh. By the way, the host is so uncomfortable here, can you protect me with mana? Although the devouring aura can't do much damage to the token, it's still uncomfortable. Maximus thought of something and propped up a mana shield. He also didn't want others to notice his abnormality. By the way, I remember that you have scanning capability? Maximus asked. He tried it just now. His spiritual consciousness is severely suppressed, barely reaching a kilometer. A little. I usually rely on the arcane continental array for scanning. But here about a 1,000 kilometer radius? Tintin calculated.
Good enough. Go find me some treasure.
Maximus ordered. Wait a minute, Tintin rolled her eyes. But as Tintin was scanning for treasure, she noticed a flock of abyss monsters heading their way. Be careful, host, the abyss monsters seem to be attracted to your aura. Don't worry about it, just continue with your own thing. Maximus didn't care as long as they weren't tier 8 or 9 abyss monsters, he was safe. Regardless of their quantity, it was just a matter of time for him. As he slowly flew around while Tintin scanned for various materials, the abyss monsters reached him. TSK, it seems endless, Maximus muttered. Although his spiritual consciousness was suppressed to only a kilometer, his system, which had around a 30-kilometer radius of range, was not. Within his range, he could see clusters of never-ending monsters. Tintin, see how many abyss monsters are coming here.
Oh, I'm glad you asked quickly, host.
Tintin, who was nervous, sighed in relief. Within a 1,000 kilometers radius, it's full of abyss monsters, it seems that there is no end to it.
Let's run quickly, host, it's dangerous here.
Tintin urged. It's just abyss monsters. Anyway, they are also points. Maximus decided to stay and wait. He wondered what the prize for this event was, that even an apex sovereign would become jealous. Growl asterisk. Soon, Maximus saw the indescribable images of abyss monsters with his own eyes. A bit disgusting.
Fire.
A 1-kilometer radius of fire descended endlessly. Although his range was suppressed, the power was not. Sizzle asterisk. The swamp turned into a fiery world, combined with the burning sizzle. What a smell, Maximus couldn't help but complain. You should also burn with them. Maximus increased the intensity of the fire and everything disintegrated quickly. Every particle in the atmosphere began to burn like hellfire. Even the abyss aura began to disintegrate like oxygen meeting fire. An hour later, the abyss monsters still showed no sign of ending. As for Maximus, he was so bored that he played games Ethereum chess with Tintin.
You lose. You're a cheater, host. How is it possible to defeat me with my calculation?
Tintin was not reconciled. Tintin even overloaded her processor with Maximus's permission, but she still lost.
Hey, is there someone out there who can defeat me?
Maximus looked up and bragged. In the Ethereum realm, city of Arcana. The students watched Maximus's live stream eagerly. In the beginning, they were amazed by the seemingly endless mana that Maximus released. However, as Maximus and Tintin began to play Ethereum chess, their attention shifted towards their gameplay. Maximus's mind-bending moves, which shattered their common perception, amazed them even more. For a while, they didn't even realize that Maximus was in the Abyss realm. This treasure spirit is bad at this.
What do you know?
The token spirit was on point.
But why does it lose so easily?
I think I can do better than that.
Quit bragging, just by opening your mouth, I can tell you're a beginner.
Two people discussed the game seriously. Hee, your attention is not in the right place. Suddenly, a man barged into their conversation.
What do you mean?
The two looked at him in confusion.
You should bet your money quickly.
Look, every second you waste here, the more money you lose. The man pointed at the score leaderboard.
Sky 56,372,372.
Eloan Shadowfang 37,362,173. Maximus Shadowcrest 33,472,428. Thaddeus Holycrest 28,134,237. Azure Runecaster 28.024 for 72.
Damn, did we just watch the top 3 play Ethereum chess?
The two were shocked, and then they noticed that the fire around Maximus didn't seem to extinguish.
Is he releasing a fire spell the whole time?
That's because you didn't watch from the beginning, the man said. Too bad for you, the bet for Maximus to win the top spot is already at 1.5.
If you had bet earlier, you could have won dozens of times your money.
The man mocked.
This dash.
Seeing their stupefied expressions and the disappointment in their eyes, the man was satisfied and looked for a new target. He told them this was just for his satisfaction, as he had bet on Maximus from the beginning. In Maximus' manner. His wives and children watched Maximus with boredom as he played with Tintin. They were still nervous about Maximus's safety, yet he was playing there like nothing was happening. It's quite boring to watch father, his opponents are too weak, Max muttered.
When will this horde end?
It's such a waste of time, Assam said.
You should watch Sky, it's such a cool battle.
Lux suddenly exclaimed.
It's indeed cool.
Luke nodded vigorously. Sky was like the god of death as soon as he entered the abyss. Unlike others, he had no interest in the weak. He would at least target Tier 7 abyss monsters, which were above his tier, to fight. Although a lot of time was wasted finding lone Tier 7 monsters. The points he gained and the visual effects attracted many fans. There was even one time he got lucky and killed a Tier 8 being, which gave him 10 million points. The battle was so earth-shaking that almost everyone turned to his channel to watch it. By the way, it seems that you're busy with something, Lux? Liam asked.
Oh, I'm gambling in short-term bets.
Gambling?
Is it profitable?
They knew Lux's fascination with and luck with money, so they eagerly asked. When it came to who was the richest among them, Lux took the title. Sometimes, they even borrowed money from him when it was inconvenient to get money from their father. Counting the zeros, it was about to reach trillions of magic crystals.
Hey, little brother, I saw something in the shop yesterday. Look.
Lux showed them his winnings.
His? Wow, are you stealing money?
They were shocked by the amount Lux had won in just a few hours. Counting the zeros, it was about to reach trillions of magic crystals. Hey, little brother, I saw something in the shop yesterday. The eldest sister Lily took Lux into her arms.
Don't worry, sister, just point at things and I'll pay.
Lux patted his chest. That's why I love my little brother, Lily said coyly.
What about me?
The other sisters grumbled as they surrounded Lux.
Don't worry, big sisters, watch me earn a few sets for you.
Chapter 173 World Crystal Fragment. In the Abyss World Swamp Area. A few hours later. Maximus gazed boredly at the never-ending swarm of abyss monsters. I wonder where the source of these abyss monsters is. This thought took root in Maximus's mind as he suddenly stopped his fire spell.
It's time to move,
Maximus muttered to Tintin. Are we finally going to escape?
No, it's time to destroy this place,
Maximus replied with a smile. Suddenly, Maximus teleported a few kilometers away.
Disappear, Maximus muttered under his breath.
His mana stirred up, and the abyss monsters slowly collapsed away like sand. Then, he began teleporting every millisecond, erasing every life form within a kilometer radius. Looking above, you could only see circles suddenly becoming hollow, like an eraser on a chalkboard. In the city of the Arcane, Maximus' sudden action caused disturbances in the leaderboard.
Sky, 153,372,372.
Eloan Shadowfang, 117,362,173.
Thaddeus Holycrest, 108,134,237.
Maximus Shadowcrest, 97,472,428.
Plus 136,372.
Plus 162,163. Plus 158,275. Plus 124,573. The scoreboard jumped as if it had been hacked, and Maximus's position quickly climbed up. Within a minute, he surpassed third place. 5 minutes later, he overtook second place. After a quarter of an hour, Maximus claimed the first place. Maximus Shadowcrest, 177,472,428. Sky, 173,372,372. Eloan Shadowfang, 129,362,173. Thaddeus Holycrest, 128,134,237. The movements of Maximus were watched by many. Every flicker a group of abyss monsters is erased. It seemed to grip their heart as they observed. Soon, Maximus's points reached over 200 million before gradually slowing down.
Huh?
Damn. If I hadn't watched the live feed, I would have thought he was cheating. Releasing top-tier spells 1,000 times every second is truly inhuman. It should be a special physique multiplying the mana capacity. Anyway, even if I had unlimited mana, my brain couldn't possibly process that.
How amazing is this? What a course student he is.
The people began to marvel. What amazed them the most was not the seemingly unlimited mana but Maximus's quick execution of skills. It was like an ordinary human turning a light switch on and off. Even if given unlimited speed, the switch couldn't possibly handle being turned on and off 1,000 times every second. Moreover, casting a spell wasn't just about stringing up the elements and sending out mana. It required a complex rune system and calculation to cast precisely what you desired. In Maximus' manner. The originally bored people who were watching Maximus's live feed were already standing up, eagerly watching him perform.
Cool. That is still the best. Compared to Sky, that is superior.
Heh, that Sky was just showing off without much substance. The children quickly abandoned their fascination with Sky as they bragged about their father to the skies.
By the way, Lux, what happened to you?
Liam asked, noticing Lux changing expressions faster than flipping a book. I earned over 10 trillion, Lux stuttered with excitement. I knew that Daddy was about to explode. But what I didn't expect was for Daddy to explode into the sky. Hee, then don't forget about us later, Lux's brother and sister chimed in. Maximus's wives were also fascinated, thinking about how domineering their husband was. As expected of my husband. He probably wasn't in the mood earlier. To think that we worried about him. Not bad, your husband still has some skills, Denise praised. She and her niece, Ella, were in Maximus Manor to watch the event together. After all, even though Denise was a few thousand years old, she didn't have many friends. How about it? Are you falling for our husband? Jane playfully poked her. After marrying Maximus, Emma and Jane often bragged about it to Denise, their partner in crime from that night. Still not enough, Denise neither agreed nor denied.
Then you'll have to wait.
Maximus's wives looked at Denise with eagerness and temptation. In the Abyss World swamp area. After Maximus's rampage, the swamp area seemed to have been erased by something. The plants, trees, and abyss monsters were nowhere to be found, leaving only bare, smooth land. At this moment, Maximus was standing in front of what he called an abyss source. Is this where abyss monsters are generated? Looking at the abyss monsters being generated, he waved his hand to wipe them out as he walked closer to the abyss source. Looking at the weird gem, he tried to grab it.
What is this?
Maximus muttered. With a scan of his system, he quickly learned what it was. World Crystal Fragment, part of the world's origin, polluted by the abyss. Tier 4 Ultimate Treasure.
Oh, this is an ultimate treasure?
Maximus was a little shocked.
Host, throw it quickly, your body is being devoured.
Tintin warned, feeling the abyssal aura climbing towards Maximus. It's nothing, Maximus shrugged as he tried to expel the abyss energy. Unfortunately, to his shock, nothing happened. Instead, it seemed that the abyssal energy was becoming stronger.
It's devouring my mana?
Maximus frowned. Although the rate at which the abyss energy was creeping into him was slow, it couldn't be removed. Troublesome. Maximus quickly placed the polluted world crystal fragment in his system space. He then studied the abyss energy, thinking of a solution. Trying his combined elements, he succeeded in expelling some abyss energy. However, the rate of propagation was much faster than his expulsion. The frown on his face deepened. Let's see if the system can absorb this thing, Maximus thought as he instructed his system.
+10 for 72.
This? Maximus was shocked to see that it could be absorbed. Another source of system points? Maximus's frown faded away, replaced by a smile.
What did you do, host?
You removed it quite quickly, Tintin asked as she floated around his arms.
Nothing, just a little trick.
Of course, Maximus wouldn't tell her about his system.
What an awesome trick.
Tintin showed a shocked face. If this can be applied to the world crystal fragment, then it would be great. Do you know about this thing? Of course. According to records, explorers from the Ethereum realm found a lot of these world crystal fragments, which are the source of abyss monsters. After studying them, they noticed that it's part of a swallowed world origin. According to theory, if the Ethereum realm can absorb these world crystal fragments, its advancement would be faster. Tintin said excitedly. Unfortunately, there is this abyss pollution. If the Ethereum realm were to absorb it, it would also be polluted. No matter how they tried to expel the abyss energy in the world crystal fragment, it will come back, Tintin sighed.
What a pity, Maximus feigned.
Hearing Tintin's narration, he thought a lot. There are a few things that piqued his interest. First is the usefulness of the world crystal fragment to the world. If he can find a way to eliminate the pollution thoroughly, then he can help accelerate the advancement of the Ethereum realm. Second is the nature of the polluted energy, it can regenerate endlessly. Looking at the world crystal fragment in his system space, he ordered his system to absorb.
+1, 002, 172, 274.
Huh? Looking at the pure white world crystal fragment, he didn't see the abyss energy generating. Could it be its devouring mana or other energy to generate abyss energy? So that's why, Maximus concluded after a bit of thought. His system space is a unique, self-contained area. Anything placed in it will not leak any information unless it is controlled. The reason why no one was able to eliminate the abyss pollution is due to an energy leak. Even if they isolate it, eliminating the pollution relies on something that has energy. His system is unique in this regard, it directly absorbs the abyss energy without any energy fluctuations. Of course, maybe it's because the abyss pollution of this world crystal fragment is too weak to be detected by the system. A pity, I wasted a system point generator, Maximus sighed at his carelessness. But knowing that he can thoroughly purify a world crystal fragment is also good news. After he has enough strength in the future, he can help upgrade the Ethereum realm instead of waiting like the others. The abyss realm is really filled with treasure, Maximus muttered after sorting out a plan. Anyway, now he would find more world crystal fragments so he can have another source of system points. In Ethereum Apex Coliseum, the three top powers of the world were playing a three-way Ethereum chess as they watched the live feed. A student got a world crystal fragment, Fialon said, making a move. It's just a useless product, Alabaster didn't bother and thinking about his next move. If only we had a method to purify it. Fialon sighed. It's a waste of time, that thing is quite difficult to deal with, Riadius mocked. But if we had a way to purify the world crystal fragment? Fialon asked jokingly. Then the situation would turn around. Radius and Alabaster finally looked at him. The Abyss World coming to devour us? Heh, if we can really purify the world crystal fragment, then it would probably be a treasure house waiting to be looted. Ha ha ha, I hope there will be such a future. The Abyss Realm becoming our treasure house? What a grand dream. Chapter 174 Looting Spree. A few days later. Still nothing? Maximus sighed. It had been a few days and he still hadn't found any abyss source. It seems that it's quite rare. Host, I've found a tier 7 plant. Tintin said excitedly. After a few days without a harvest, there was finally something. Oh? Maximus flew toward the place Tintin pointed with curiosity. A tier 7 plant? Barely enough. Maximus muttered as he put it into his storage. Sigh, it's quite a pity for this land, Tintin sighed. What's the matter? Oh, the soil here is tier 7 abyss soil. After purification, it could be a good fertilizer for the land. Unfortunately, it would be a waste of storage space. Why not take it? Maximus said as he began to pack up the soil. It's only wasted space, host, and it's not that valuable, Tintin said. After all, it's merely a fertilizer. There is many alternative that can do much better. Anyway, it's also points. While collecting the soil, he thought of his empire. With its barrenness, even with the tier 5 array, it will still take hundreds of years to advance its soil to be able to grow a tier 5 spirit seed. By now, it's only tier 2 soil, even with countless nourishing from the mana. Although he can buy fertilizer, it's too expensive and not worth it. Now there is free stuff in front of him. Maximus couldn't help but gear up. You're crazy, host. Tintin gave up persuading and just rolled her eyes. By the way, how big is your storage space, host? As big as your imagination, Maximus just smirked. The biggest storage space has 1 trillion cubic meters of space. As for a small world, that's in a different category. As for his system space, it has unlimited space. Half an hour later, Maximus dug up several million cubic meters of soil. Huh? It's indeed satisfying to pick up money. Although he can earn quadrillions every month, this kind of petty gain still felt good. Tintin, widen your range. From now on, include resources tier 4 and above. As for those low-tier treasures from tier 3 and below, even he was too lazy to pick them up. Are you sure, host? Yes, anyway, I can't find any abyss source now. Maybe we can find it while I pick resources. Oh, then there are a few tier 4 resources near us. Lead the way. A few days later, Maximus's smile didn't vanish as he looked at the growing resources in his system space. Whenever he passed, even the soil and rock were not missed. As long as it reached tier 4, it would be put in the system space. Oh, is this a tier 5 dark abyss mine? Put it in. A tier 4 quartz crystal? It's just for design, host, it has no other use. That's good too. Put it in. What is this weird-looking tree forest? That's the forest of the blood abyss. It's useless except for its fragrance when burnt. Then it can be used to cook barbecue. Put it in. What is this dark shining liquid? This is a golden abyss lake. It's good for raising fish. Put it in. This is a vine devouring stems. It's good for creating papers. Put it in. This is a stone, is a heavy? Nice, it can be used as a wall. Put it in. This grass. It's soft to step on? Also, include that. This sand is good for making windows? Tintin already grew dizzy with Maximus's looting spree. She didn't even bother naming what kind of material it is. As long as it's tier 4 and above and has some use, her host would take it in. This is also in the city of Arcana. While Maximus was on a looting spree, a bunch of students watched in fascination. I don't know why I'm so entertained, even if he picks trash items. A trash item in our eyes is already a treasure to many. Looking at the quantity of the things he's got, why do I get jealous? Maybe it's because it's more than what we've earned in a few thousand years? Sigh, I didn't know that trash is so valuable. Why don't I also go to the Abyss Realm to be a trash picker? First, you've got to have the strength to protect yourself. Second, you've got to have some massive storage ring or a unique small world you can carry. Hey, I'm just dreaming. The student then thought of his feeble strength, although he can overwhelm others in the same tier. Skipping tiers is still out of his ability. Looking at Maximus easily obliterating tier 7 monsters like it's nothing. The student shuddered at the thought of going to the Abyss realm. Tisk, anyway, that Maximus has already fallen in the rankings. Heh, it's still better than many, after all, he's still in the top 10. Maximus had already fallen to rank 8 because of his inactivity in fighting Abyss monsters. Although Abyss materials can also give points, it's not enough. A few days later, Maximus was still on a looting spree. His system was already filled with all kinds of resources, just like a small world. If it weren't for the Abyss energy that still hadn't been removed, it would truly be a paradise. When Maximus was about to move on to the next resource, he was alerted by Tintin.
Host, I found the Abyss source that you're looking for.
Finally, I'm getting tired of picking resources, Maximus muttered, stretching his body. But
what?
It should be a tier 7 Abyss source, Tintin said gloomily. With her scan, he noticed a dense pack of tier 7 Abyss monsters. Furthermore, mixed with them were a few tier 8 Abyss monsters.
That's more like it.
Maximus grinned. Abyss monsters are quite different from powerhouses in the ethereal realm. Usually, once you reach tier 7 and form a domain, you start to study laws. But Abyss monsters only have physical and energy capabilities comparable to their tier. It's like cannon fodder forcefully upgraded. I don't know how I'll stand against a tier 8 Abyss monster. Maximus breathed as he readied for battle. Looking at the dense group of Abyss monsters, he smiled.
Let's begin. Shush.
Maximus teleported and cast a spell. Disperse. Looking at the tier 7 monsters still standing fine, he grinned.
It's not enough, huh?
Condensed. Ignite. Explosion. Boom. A huge explosion filled with multiple elements bombarded those tier 7 monsters. Not enough, there is more. Boom. 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 Dense explosions happened all over the place like it's doomsday. Not enough. Not enough. Seeing that he couldn't kill tier 8 Abyss monsters, Maximus frowned. His brain overloaded, remembering all his spell mastery, as a myriad of spells came out from him.
End it for me.
A dragon filled with all his mana capacity, possessing all his elements, rampaged on the field. Whenever it passed through, it disintegrated Abyss monsters like toys. The tier 8 Abyss monster also began to be damaged. Still not enough.
Too slow.
Maximus emptied his mana again and again, condensing elemental dragons of destruction. Every second, every drop, multiple energy dragons were condensed. If the Abyss had a bit of conscience, it may exclaim that Maximus was definitely cheating. Is the Abyss source the one generating monsters, or are you? The number of energy dragons made them look like densely packed snakes, sending shiver to anyone watching. Soon, the explosion of magic subsided. What was left was Maximus flying silently and a deep hole that looked more like an abyss. Tell me where the Abyss source is. Maximus said coldly, still affected by his outburst.
Host?
Is that still you? Are you possessed by some Abyss monster? Do you still recognize your cute Tintin? Maximus questioned why Tintin was still blabbering nonsense instead of guiding him the way. Tintin suddenly shuddered and did her job.
This way, host.
After getting the Abyss source, aka the World Crystal Fragment, he took a deep breath.
Huh?
So that's what invincibility is. Maximus finally went back to normal. The power he showed earlier was so overwhelming that he was nearly consumed by it. So close, I need to train my will after I get out of here, Maximus thought.
Host, how are you?
Are you feeling better? Yes, Maximus gave her a smile. How fortunately, you're fine, host. I thought that something happened to you. How can something happen to me? He teased.
That's right, that's the host I know.
Tintin flew happily. After calming down, he finally began to look at the World Crystal Fragment. World Crystal Fragment, part of the world's origin, polluted by the Abyss. Tier 7 ultimate treasure. It's really tier 7. Remembering his state earlier, he couldn't help but shudder. That power that obliterated everything, even those tier 8 Abyss monsters, disintegrated like the rest. Shaking his head, he studied the World Crystal Fragment to see how fast its absorption rate was. 10, 50, 300, 600, 900, 1000. So it's 1000 units of energy per second, Maximus concluded. The units of energy are equivalent to 1 system point. This means that, provided enough energy, he can absorb over 80 million system points per day. It's really a treasure. Chapter 175 Meet other students. Soon, Maximus returned to searching for materials, hoping to encounter another abyss source. However, the disturbance he had caused was far from over. In the city of Arcana, at Maximus Manor. Dad is truly amazing. They struggled to find words to describe what they had just witnessed. Is that really our dad?
So awesome, so mighty.
As expected, our dad is the strongest in the world. Maximus's children erupted in cheers as they witnessed the fight. Despite the countless battle videos throughout history, their father's style was quite unique. It was a straightforward battle style. As long as you had mana and had mastered the spells enough, you were good to go. But what made Maximus' style unique was his seemingly unlimited mana and his ungodly mastery of spells. If others tried to emulate his style, they would either deplete their mana reserves or perish due to their own spells. It's indeed our husband who is the greatest. I didn't realize that our husband's strength had reached such heights. What's wrong, Denise? Are you already falling in love with our husband? They teased Denise, who was lost in thought.
Humph.
Denise blushed but didn't reply. After all, Maximus was the one who took the jewel that she kept for thousands of years. Although she wouldn't admit it, she was slowly falling for Maximus. Her previous excuse had been that Maximus was weaker than her, but now it had been overturned. Hee, I'll see how long you can hold on, Maximus's wives thought to themselves in silence. Outside, the students were already in a carnival-like atmosphere, watching the overwhelming spectacle. Is he really a tier 5?
Impossible.
With such power, I'd believe it even if he said he was a tier 7. You're ignorant. Maximus must have a dimensional-ranked physique. Mastering all the elements, coupled with that physique, makes it possible.
Dimensional ranked physique?
The students contemplated this idea and nodded. Indeed, having a dimensional-ranked physique made such feats possible, especially when combined with a genius talent. As for physiques higher than that, it was beyond their cognition. In a dimension, there could only be one ultimate physique. Even then, the chances of a dimension giving birth to one is close to impossible. They were only able to identify dimensional physiques because all the world-destroying geniuses possessed them. Like the strongest tier 8 holy emperor of the ages, Ashoka. The top 3 powerhouses of the world, Fialon, Alabaster, and Radius. The only anomaly was Malgren, who shattered all these preconceptions. Still, they didn't believe that Malgren's physique was of a higher rank. They just attributed his overwhelming strength to exceptional combat intelligence. In the Ethereum Apex Coliseum, the top 3 powerhouses were also shocked by Maximus's outburst. Another dimensional talent. Ha, this is the blessing of the arcane continent, Fialon laughed happily. It's just pure luck, Radius said enviously. It's merely a dimensional talent, it's not like we don't have one. A talent is just a talent, after all, Alabaster added. That is, except for that monster, Radius muttered, thinking of Malgren. TSK, such a monster should not be born in this world. Hey, let's not talk about that monster, Radius said, fearing that Malgren would sense them. Don't worry, we didn't mention his name, so it should be all right. Furthermore, he's stuck in the Abyss realm, there's no way he can reach us. Deep in the Abyss? Is someone talking about me again? Malgren murmured. It must be those brats who dived into the Abyss. Although he couldn't feel the Abyss's movements in real time, he could still sense its disturbance. Knowing that a few talented geniuses had come to train in the Abyss piqued Malgren's curiosity. I wonder how talented the people from the ethereal realm have become. Throughout all the epochs of his battles, his ultimate dimensional physique had reached rank 10. If it weren't for the world's frustrating limits, he would have already advanced to unknown heights. Unfortunately, before advancing to tier 10, he couldn't leave his source. Otherwise, he would have already gone to another dimension to advance. Let me give you some challenges, little brats. Malgren smirked and strangled an Abyss monster in front of him. Now, go rampage, show them a glimpse of the Abyss. Throwing the Abyss monster, he muttered. A month later.
Huh?
Another tier 4 world crystal fragment. This month, Maximus continued his job of giving the Abyss realm a haircut. By now, large patches of the Abyss seemed to be bald, leaving only sand or dirt. Even the once rampant Abyss monsters were nowhere to be found. Counting his harvest, he already had 10 Tier 4, 3 Tier 5, 1 Tier 6, and 1 Tier 7 World Crystal Fragment. If a Tier 7 fragment could provide him with 80 million points per day, then a Tier Fragment 4 would yield tens of thousands, Tier 5 fragment would yield hundreds of thousands, and Tier 6 fragment would yield millions. While Maximus was collecting resources, he finally encountered other students. People from the divine continent? Maximus thought, noticing their divine aura. People from the arcane continent? The group approached Maximus, contemplating their next move. You must have gathered many resources, they inquired. Yes, there is plenty, Maximus replied confidently. With only 3 people on the other side, even if they multiplied their numbers 1,000 times, they were no match for him. Observing that Maximus showed no fear, they backed down slightly. As expected from people of the arcane continent, you're resourceful. How about teaming up with us, they suggested. Testing Maximus's strength, they couldn't help but feel apprehensive. Provoking someone like him in this perilous land was dangerous. No, I'll go alone. By the way, do you know where I can find an abyss source? Abyss source? It's the one that creates abyss monsters, Maximus explained. Oh, that one? We have a few with us. We only knew one, as for others we already harvested them. They said. After all, the World Crystal Fragment was a precious resource. If they could get their hands on it, they would not let it pass. Although it can't directly upgrade the ethereal realm, the abyss pollution it releases can help strengthen the soul's will. Can you tell me the locations? Don't worry, I can pay, Maximus proposed. The payment he referred to was abyss resources. After all, those who had come to this land were the most talented individuals in their continent. They couldn't possibly be short on magic crystals. Sure, we accept 1 billion worth of resources in exchange for the location of the Tier 7 abyss source. Did you find a Tier 7 abyss source? Maximus asked excitedly. A Tier 7 abyss source was worth more than all of his low-tiered world crystal fragments combined. Unfortunately, we are too weak to get it ourselves. That's unfortunate. Anyway, I want to get information about the Tier 7 abyss source. Are you sure you can handle it? They looked at Maximus with puzzlement mixed with fear. Daring to face a Tier 7 abyss source alone, either Maximus had something to rely on or was insane. Don't worry about it, I'm sure. Alright, the Tier 7 abyss source is located at. Thanks, here are the resources. Maximus took out mountains of trash resources worth 1 billion points and hastily flew away. As they looked at the pile of trash in front of them and then at the departing Maximus, their mouths couldn't help but twitch. Did we just get fooled? Damn, people from the arcane continent are really liars. They really don't have a hint of integrity in their blood. But it's worth 1 billion points, isn't it? One of them said, counting the points given to them. Oh? Is it also possible to gain so much from trash? There was silence as they exchanged glances. Should we also? They looked embarrassed broaching the topic. It's our duty to bring back resources to our world. One of them thought of a reason. That's right, this is our duty as envoys of God. Praise to the mighty gods. Praise to the mighty gods. Praise to the mighty gods. After Maximus obtained the coordinates, he quickly took action. Looking at the dense abyss monsters, he couldn't help but be excited. Let's begin. Learning from his past mistakes, he controlled his output within the range of his will. Blinking light. Maximus began to flicker, sending light into the gloomy abyss. This was a newly created spell. It concentrated all his mana into a singularity and then exploded. With the addition of all of his elements, its power was maximized. Flash asterisk. Flash asterisk. Flash asterisk. It seemed that light became the nemesis of the abyss monsters as they disintegrated, like a vampire meeting the sun. Soon, the place became as clean as polished marble. Huh? The control is much better, Maximus nodded in satisfaction. The only reason he was nearly swallowed by power a month ago is because the spell he unleashed can only cause uncontrollable destruction. Although it took him longer to eliminate the abyss monsters. With newfound control, he felt much more in tune with the fight than when mindlessly pouring out mana. The second Tier 7 World Crystal Fragment. Just as he was about to celebrate, an earthquake occurred. If it were just that, he wouldn't be worried, but he felt an oppressive force bearing down on him. What happened?